This feels like home. A place I return to just breathe in fresh air. Soft music hums in the background, a clean, futuristic white space, channels flowing effortlessly. And then, there's the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo is a company I always associate with joy and whimsy. Ever since I was a child, they made games and experiences that I always went on to be very fond of. Almost all of my physical games and consoles revolve around them, compared to all my Xbox and PlayStation games. But it's for a good reason. Mario Galaxy, Wind Waker, Xenoblade, all games that Nintendo put out that have been some of the best games I think I could have ever imagined. That seal of approval means you're in for a good time. Each console they made was fun, and games were always the priority. The N64, the GameCube, and even the handheld systems like the Game Boy were truly revolutionary in their own ways. But when I think about aesthetics, a few come to mind. Across Nintendo's generations, there's been something subtle but important that slowly faded, and it's the thing that makes modern Nintendo feel quieter. The Switch home menu, the lack of distinct music, the absence of themes, the way everything feels functional but not inviting. I mean, technically, we did get themes for the Nintendo Switch Online app, so there's something. Let's start from the beginning. The Nintendo Wii was a massive hit, and while a lot of us were probably throwing Wii remotes at the TV, there was another group of people completely enamored with the system's menu. Growing up, I had other consoles too. My second most used was the PS2, and I love it now. But back then, that boot up was terrifying. Especially navigating the menu without a disc inside, it felt imposing, almost alien-like. The Wii was the exact opposite. After pressing A, it genuinely felt like stepping into the future. Bright whites, soft blues, and grays, channels neatly laid out like a digital living room. Every channel had its own animation, every movement of the Wii remote made a sound, every menu interaction felt intentional. The Wii has some of the most soothing music for a menu. It is so ambient and genuinely peaceful. The soft synths, pads, and gentle pulses all to not take away from your attention, but to keep you company while you explore this brand new space, or even a familiar one. The amount of times this song has been left on in the background while I was cleaning or just hanging out with friends is plenty. It felt welcoming regardless of whatever was going on. The Wii menu was likely burned into my TV because I had it on so much. And the channels themselves, well, each one had a personality. Launching a game didn't just start the game, it introduced it, which made it especially painful that when I boot up Super Mario Galaxy on my Switch, I don't hear the Galaxy jingle anymore.
Super Mario Galaxy!
This should be illegal. The Weather Channel. Not that one. This one. It's still something I revisit whenever I boot my childhood Wii. I love spinning the globe, and before phones were glued to our hands, I would literally tell my parents the weather via the Nintendo Wii. The news channel existed, and I barely touched it to be honest, and same with the photo channel, but there were plenty of others I used to use, like the Everybody Votes channel, where you guessed it, everybody votes. Yeah, those polls were truly something back in 2007. Seriously, I spent so much time participating in these polls and seeing the other me's. It was really cool. Speaking of me's, the Check Me Out channel too was iconic, mostly because that's how I witnessed me's like Peter Griffin, Mario, and Beef Boss. Every single one of these channels had a unique song or a unique jingle. The Meme Maker theme alone still makes me sit there for a few minutes just tapping my feet away to the song. It really added to the charm of making a silly me based on you, your parents, or some random stranger that just probably walked into your house. You should probably look into why they're here. I think I spent a lot of time grabbing my Miis and moving them around the screen to the rhythm of the song. Oh, good times. Seriously, you should check the guy that's over there. I don't know if he should be in that house. And while the Wii Shop channel is long gone, its music lives on forever. The moment the first few seconds of this song play, it's like being slapped in the face with only good deals, but nostalgia too. It was a song that made you want to spend money. And I wish I was joking. I religiously checked the shop over and over, grabbing virtual console games from the N64 to WiiWare games like Pokemon Rumble. The song just stuck in my head like glue. Seriously, both of these themes are remixed to this day in rips or even sounds for TikTok even today. I'm not the only one, and you likely love these songs too. You just can't escape these two themes. The DS was simple, charming, and it had PictoChat at the end of the day. That's about all the menu had to have, to be honest, and it's all it really needed. But even my nostalgia can't look past how this didn't feel like the Wii. I know it wasn't supposed to, but the systems were companions. The DSi updates this with slick menus that feel similar to the Wii, but still not there. Though each game icon had animations, it had a camera, and that's about it. I'm deeply sentimental to the system, so I can look past the simplicity. And it was a really good evolution, and I wanted to get the system on day one. But I am breezing past these systems, because while they were important, something else was coming that made things oh so memorable. I somehow never felt like the 3DS could have ever lived up to the hype and standards set by its predecessor, but as soon as I was given one roughly on the release date to play Pokemon X and Y, it clicked. That and how the hell did you get Street Fighter 4 on the system? I think about the 3DS menu theme daily. There's something about the sounds they chose that perfectly capture what that moment felt like. The quiet evolution of handhelds into something smarter, more connected, more alive. The soft synth stabs, the gentle clicks, the way everything felt clean and precise without being cold. It genuinely sounded like the future, similar to the Wii. The charm here was unreal. The UI, the music, the sound effects, all of it felt playful and alive. Just the default theme and look of the 3DS stood out so much. And this was the first time that Nintendo leaned into themes as a real feature. You could grab color swaps for free or buy full themes with custom art and music tied to specific games, like Pokemon, Zelda, and Mario. Some were limited, and yeah, with mods in modern day you can still use and acquire them to this day, but there was a really different era of thinking when they were designing themes, and they even did that with faceplates for the new 3DS XL. Even with game icons, they had animations and jingles just like the Wii. The customization here was nuts, and it still goes hard even now. They had an app called the 3DS Badge Arcade, which let you play little crane games to get icons you can place on the home menu alongside the actual apps you have on the 3DS. And they even had like moving themes for the 3DS, where if you moved L and R, it would actually like animate depending on the theme you had. You just could customize this thing like crazy. And if you have a modded system, I really implore you to tinker around with apps like Anemone and 3DS Badge Arcade, definitely through legal means. But hey, since the eShop shut down, I guess it's fair game. This thing had little AR cards that the camera could read, and it just displayed the item in a 3D space overlaying the camera, but it was fun to fiddle with. Same goes to games like Face Raiders, though it never could beat the DSiWare darling known as Photo Dojo. The Wii U, despite its reputation, carried a lot of this same philosophy. When I first set mine up, before even launching Wind Waker HD on Christmas Day, I just stared at the menu, known as Wara Wara Plaza. Mii's running around, Miiverse posts popping up, little conversations happening everywhere. It felt social, alive, like the console itself was awake. Sure, I didn't buy a Wii U just to watch Mii's talk about Goku being in Smash Brothers, but years later, that's the stuff I cherish and remember most. There was even an Animal Crossing themed Wara Wara Plaza. I only got it well after the fact, but booting it up now while cleaning the house and seeing villagers run around the screen, it's really comforting and charming. It's nice to see my favorite villagers just there, and granted there was no proper Animal Crossing game on the Wii U, it was just a glimpse into what could have been. And I'm kind of glad we got the newest game on the Switch, because I don't know if I like this one very much. Alongside this, the music on the Wii U is genuinely beautiful in how it layers and interacts with itself. When you first boot the system, the Wara Wara Plaza fills the TV with life, voices, movement, personality, while the gamepad presents a menu that feels familiar, yet subtly evolved with icons floating and shifting in the background. What makes the Wii U stand out is how many spaces has its own musical identity. Both menus have a unique theme, or a unique part of a theme, and when they're playing at the same time via the gamepad and the TV, they don't clash, they blend together. Despite poor sales, Nintendo cared deeply about how the system felt to play and just experience in day-to-day life. They even made transferring data from the Wii to the Wii U fun with this little Pikmin-themed transfer process with all the games and software you had. It looks super cool. The eShop on both systems was special too. Seasonal music, holiday themes, even just themes at different times of the year. I spent hours and hours window shopping just to hear what the eShop sounded like that month. Even with the category images, simple renders plastered everywhere, it had charm. The shop felt like it was designed with fun in mind, then to take your wallet. But all of this charm wasn't just for show. It wasn't just about music or animations. Nintendo was designing these systems around the idea that you were not alone. The Miis are one of the core parts of Nintendo as of late for me. Whether it was seeing them in games like Wii Sports, or seeing them do, whatever this is. The ideas behind the Miis are simple. They act like an avatar for you to put yourself in the game. And while other games and MMOs offer this in spades, something about the Miis were really effective. I didn't feel like these were just avatars. These were people. Sure, some are probably really funny, but people nonetheless designed to live within the worlds of Nintendo's menus. Wii Sports Resort was amazing, and roaming around Woohoo Island and seeing Miis just partake in sports alongside or against you really helped make the world feel lived in. The Miis gave birth to what is known as the Wii series, being games like Wii Sports Resort, Wii Play, Wii Party, Wii Fit, Wii Music, and we ran out of titles. These games were just fun uses of motion controls, sure to explain how they work, but honestly, the fact that we're still talking and making videos about a supposed tech demo or tech demos for the Wii really says something. They even showed up as playable characters in several games from the Wii onwards, and even became dedicated fighters in Smash 4 and Ultimate. Shout out to the Mii Gunner for being fun to play and letting me 3-stock my friends, if only for a game or two. Miis even have their very own games too, like Tamagotchi Life and Miitopia, which are beloved even to this day, long past the release date. Miitopia is a silly RPG where you replace characters with your Miis, and Tamagotchi Life is, Wait, Aren't these on the 3DS? The 3DS had Mii's too, which was a step up from the DS, which did not. Technically it did, but that was only a few games. The 3DS was designed to be used as a socializing tool, and I never got much out of the Street Pass, not because no one I knew at the time didn't have a 3DS. No. I just forgot. I was too busy playing Animal Crossing New Leaf for Mario Kart 7 after I got done with my assignments in school. So, priorities. The way Street Pass worked is if the two 3DS systems in the real world were near one another, if passing by, you would receive the user's Mii in front of your gate. With it, you were able to play games that I admittedly barely played and don't feel qualified enough to speak about. Each Street Pass Plaza game, DLC or not, truly added a lot of the reason you would want to bring your 3DS with you on the go. But Street Pass had support for other games. Animal Crossing New Leaf allows you to see other players' houses via the Happy Home Showcase. Smash Bros. For the 3DS added Street Smash, which, while sounding interesting, was a top-down game of knocking various tokens off the screen, which were represented by Mii's and characters. And this one is a bit of a small one, but a surprise nonetheless, but Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, which each Street Pass could be exchanged for 2 tokens, which then could be used to buy music and 3D models in the game. You know, despite how Definitive Edition blows this game out of the water, that's kinda neat. Well, at least you're good for something. While Mii's are less prominent in games today, the little bit Nintendo does acknowledge does fill me and many others with hope for the future. Mii's are important, even if they are just silly little characters we made to represent us or someone else. I mean, yes, they still are present today, but not in the forefront. It's more in the background. As I mentioned with Wara Wara Plaza, the plaza without Mii's looks empty and boring, but with them, and especially now with services like Pretendo allowing Miiverse to get a second chance at life, it looks lived in. And to me, who grew up with the Wii U when I was younger, it makes me feel like I step back home. When I think of Nintendo's joy and whimsy, I think of the older E3 conferences or the older Nintendo Directs. I remember names of these guys that were the heads of Nintendo, not because they made the company profitable, but because they were fun. The days of E3 are long since behind us, but I still catch myself frequently going back to videos of the Wii and DS being revealed, because it was a time where the internet was foreign to me, and I never knew those systems existed until I walked into Toys R Us months after they likely came out. But seeing Reggie, Miyamoto, and Iwata talk on stage with all their cards ready to not only present this new system, but to be themselves, really puts into perspective that the current Nintendo and how they handle directs as of late, well, it's different. I mean, Nintendo did have some pretty embarrassing E3 moments, don't get me wrong, but to be honest, cringe isn't the word I use for a lot of that. I find a lot of them funny or endearing, and wish more of it existed today. Nintendo Directs hosted some of the most iconic moments for the company to me, and at a time where I was actively following gaming news for the first time, really made a strong impression and set a standard for how I see Nintendo as a whole. Seeing Iwata, Reggie, and Miyamoto all in puppet form to make a skit to announce the latest Star Fox game on the Wii U, the silly 3DS trailer where Reggie opens the 3DS and Bowser spits fire at him, the times where the company had a face, had figureheads that showed up to present directs and presentations, and were okay to be silly and show off a more human side to the brand. I mean, come on, Reggie and Iwata fist fighted in a video to present the reveal for Mii's coming out. This kind of feels like I'm trying to be parasocial with a billion-dollar company, but let me assure you that's not the case at all. I just always found this important and memorable for some reason. I saw genuine passion and charm behind these skits. It made me feel like watching these guys was watching friends make videos for the fun of it. The Wii U, and by extension 3DS, were a rough time. Iwata himself famously took a chunk of his paycheck to give to other employees to make a 3DS price cut more sustainable after the backlash of the initial price fiasco. The Wii U just never got its feet off the ground due to it being marketed as a second Wii, but they overcorrected too much to a point where many saw no need to buy one simply due to them already owning a Wii, even if the system was different in many ways. Despite the Wii U not being successful, Amiibo existed and served as a really big resurgence in love for Nintendo alongside the release of Super Smash Bros. The war stories I hear from these times really makes me glad I bought what I could after school instead of waiting in massive lines.
They fight with you! I'm getting one of these. Mario and Peach together. Me and Gina together.
I realize now that while I wish we could see Reggie shooting fire flowers at a random member of the audience and Robot Chicken who asked about Mother 3, but not only has he left the company, Iwata sadly is no longer with us, and a lot of what made this era of Nintendo feel so significant, I would argue was due to him and his wisdom.
On my business card, I am a corporate president. In my mind, I am a game developer. But in my heart, I am a gamer.
I look back to the Wii U Directs, the Smash 4 Fighter reveals, the utter shock and awe of how they made Mario Kart 8 look and sound so incredible. Following all the news and feeling comfort knowing that while others were playing on much more powerful hardware with a PS4 and Xbox One at the time, Nintendo games were still going crazy. 2017 and onward, the Nintendo Switch still fills me with nostalgia because Reggie was around and the company was still okay making things a little bit silly even when a new era was beginning to form. This and what was before was part of a different time, and while I can appreciate the Switch and Switch 2 Directs for showing games as the core focus, I wish we could see some of the silliness sprinkled in every once in a while. So, as I'm writing this video, Nintendo legit just did that with both the Tamagotchi Life Direct and the release of Tamagotchi Life Living the Dream. I mean, go figure, the Direct that's filled with the most charm and personality is the one based on Mii's being absolutely wacky, but seeing Koizumi show up as a Mii and his voice being changed to that of one of the Miis in Tamagotchi was really unexpected. I hope this one isn't a one-time thing, and we start to see much more of a brighter side of this company again outside of the insane library that's going to be soon building for the Switch 2 and the pre-existing Switch. So yeah, while this isn't Bill Trinan eating all the donuts for a Yokai Watch announcement, it comes very close. With all the hype and expectations on March 3rd, 2017, the Nintendo Switch release, and compared to the last generation, it was selling like crazy. Millions of units sold, video after video of people being blown away by the idea of a hybrid console that can both be handheld and a regular system, Breath of the Wild existing. It was all great, and with many games releasing within the first years that I feel extremely attached to even now, it was a recipe for success. Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2, Xenoblade 2, and many, many more. I remember playing Mario Odyssey and getting to the ending segment of New Donk City and crying with a smile plastered on my face. I remember the discovery of exploring Breath of the Wild's Hyrule and getting lost for the first time. Something about the start of the Switch was showing Nintendo was done throwing light punches and jabs and went full send on what their vision was. Their games evolved, their production and quality, even if on 2015 hardware, evolved, but something still lingered in the back. Something bothered me about the Nintendo Switch. It's empty. The Switch might have the games, it might still be one of my favorite systems to use daily, but the cost is much more of a blank, sterile, and bland menu that lacks anything Nintendo was doing in its previous years. The Wii, Wii U, 3DS, hell, even the GameCube has something unique about the menus. But this shift to a more minimalistic UI truly didn't sit right with me. The eShop looked empty without the categories and little artwork for banners. The lack of any music on any menu really drove home the point that while this was in fact an evolution, it felt like it took a step at a cost. I boot up my older Nintendo consoles all the time, and while I mostly play games as God intended, I will frequently just fiddle around with the menus and admire the attention to detail. On the contrary, I love the Nintendo Switch's little noises. Each menu on the bottom row has a unique sound. Even clicking on your profile or friends list makes these cute little noises that are engraved into my skull. Even booting up the system with multiple button presses, if you hit other than A, you get other sounds that add to the charm the Switch does have. They even have profile pictures you can set on your account, and I love the variety on display here, especially with the Switch 2. The Joy-Cons were very colorful on release, and each Joy-Con and console bundle for the most part really added to the charm of the original Nintendo Switch. But it still looks empty on the menu. It's just disappointing to boot up the system, and while I do like the UI and parts of it, the lack of themes, music, and much more don't hinder the experience. It just makes it less of a place to be in between games, unlike before. It really makes me long for the days where I just felt joy in pursuing menus and discovering music that was tucked away. Yes, in a way, a clean, minimalist menu gets you right to what actually matters, though I'd like to wager that many would find charm in seeing little things improved. I mean, every time a major system update comes up, Twitter accounts grift and make posts about saying themes are back, but they only lie and eat hot chip. The Miis are still locked in a separate menu, not an icon or channel of some sort either. They could have easily been slipped on the bottom row right here, but they are lumped right into the console settings completely out of the way. It makes me feel like this Mii erasure is something that Nintendo is trying to do, only slightly. Even with the Switch 2 being released, there were slight UI improvements, and I do mean very slight. But it's the same as before, except with new bleeps and bloops and a colored border around your games, and that's neat. And this. For the first time in years, we have a menu song of some sort. And it's actually really, really good. It's much more chilled out compared to the little triumphant jingle that was on the Switch 1. But I really, really like it. This gave me, and still gives me, hope for the future. It's awesome seeing Nintendo do something like this again, and the song is genuinely really catchy. I miss little things like this, Nintendo, and I really hope that we can see much more and hear more much like this in the coming years. I mean, you can say Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour is a prime example of Nintendo leaning into being weird and quirky, but not only is the price tag of $10 not something I would call reasonable for what's essentially a glorified instruction booklet on the console, but it doesn't hit the same highs that previous systems hit with ease. I'll still support the games I play and want to play, but it won't stop me from longing for the joy and whimsy of what seems to be a bygone era. I think the quality of the games being released thus far is great, and it's nice to see that even as of Tamagotchi Life and Pokopia, some of that old Nintendo charm lives on. The Switch is my favorite console ever with how much I use it, and I'm not saying it's worse than the Wii U, but to me, the little things do add up and only make systems more memorable to people in the end. Nintendo, please be weird again.